Senator Legarda.
Senator Lauren Legarda is recognized to explain her vote.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Supreme Court has ruled with clarity. It declared the impeachment complaint not only constitutionally barred, but void from the beginning, and further held that the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction over the matter. This decision, by express pronouncement, is immediately executory. We in the Senate are stewards of the Constitution and the rule of law. Our fidelity must be strongest precisely when institutions are under strain or pressure. To proceed as though the ruling were uncertain or optional would be a departure from our constitutional duty. This manifestation is a commitment to respect the present authority of the court's decision while remaining open to its final word. I cast my vote without prejudice to the Supreme Court's disposition of the pending motion for reconsideration. The court speaks, and at times it speaks again. But until it does, the Senate must not act contrary to what it has already said. For these reasons, I vote yes. I honor the decision of the Supreme Court. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Legarda.
Before recognizing Senator Zubiri, I'd like to thank him for his patience because he's always last whenever we do nominal voting. At some point in time, you might want to make a motion, Senator Zubiri, for us to draw lots on which letter of the alphabet we will start voting.
Thank you,
The
Mr.
gentleman may
President.
proceed.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Alam mo po yun, Ginoong Pangulo, dahil magkasama po tayo sa Kongreso ng 3 termino. At dun sa 3 termino, na alam ko yung bilang po natin ay 265, 268 congressmen, napakahirap po pag ang iyong pangalan ay nagsisimula sa letrang Z. Kasi ako po ay palaging huli. Minsan po, wala na pong tao nakikinig sa akin. Yung janitor na po, mga page ang nag-aayos ng mga upuan. Pero, subalit na yung araw na ito, nagpapasalamat ako at napakarami pang senador na nandito po na yun. Nandito si Senator Bato, Senator Bong, Senator Robin Padilla, Senator Amy, Senator Erwin, Senator Mark Villar, our Senate President Pro Temp, who's not listening, but he's here with us today, together with the movant, Senator Marcoleta, and all the rest, no? Nandito ang dalawang Cayetano na kaibigan natin, yung mga seatmates nandito, and minority. Pero Mr. President, honestly, it pains me to vote against my minority floor leader. It pained me and Senator Lauren. But what we are called to do here today goes beyond the simple vote. We all know that, Mr. President. It goes beyond the simple vote. Rather, for me, it's a test of our commitment to our Constitution and the rule of law. When the House of Representatives transmitted the articles of impeachment to us in February 5, 2025, my position was clear. We must go ahead with the trial, as this is our constitutional duty. In many interviews, that's what I said. It doesn't matter how I feel about it, because many people already said that I was on the other side. But I've said it doesn't matter what my personal feelings are. What matters is that we proceed with our constitutional duty. When the motion to remand the articles of impeachment came up on June 10, 2025, it was also my position, again, clear, that we must remand the articles for this, not for the sake of dismissing the trial, Mr. President, but for the purpose of ensuring that the House of Representatives had not violated the impeachment process as laid out in the Constitution. I have always upheld the principles of rule of law and the primacy of the Constitution. And I've consistently shown the highest respects for the Supreme Court as the final arbiter of all constitutional questions. So today, again, my position is clear. We must respectfully adhere to the Court's ruling that the current impeachment complaint is unconstitutional. Our Constitution expressly empowers the Supreme Court to review even the article or the actions of political branches. In Francisco versus House of Representatives, that case which has been mentioned by almost all my colleagues here, the court affirmed that it is the final arbiter for constitutional questions with authority to strike down acts that violate the Constitution. Thus, I vote to support the Supreme Court on not to proceed with the trial of the articles of impeachment as it violates both the Constitution and the guarantees of due process, rendering the current complaint unconstitutional and void ab initio. The grave denial of due process only magnifies its fatal defect. Without jurisdiction, any trial would be meaningless and any verdict null and void, Mr. President. To disregard the court's unanimous ruling would be to invite a constitutional crisis and to break our oath to support and defend our Constitution. The power of impeachment is not without limits, Mr. President, my dear colleagues. It must be exercised within the boundaries set by the Constitution as interpreted by the Supreme Court. And let me be clear for those listening tonight. The court did not place the Vice President beyond scrutiny. It simply required that any future impeachment follow constitutional safeguards. As simple as that. A new complaint may be filed by February 6, 2026, lawfully and with due process, at doon na po natin magagamit, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, yung ating mga gown at robe. Kasi sigurado, as the day will shine tomorrow, there will be an impeachment case filed against you. And we will be ready. This time, we will be prepared and follow the due process that was mentioned by the Supreme Court. I speak, Mr. President, as someone who's been a legislator for over 2 decades now, together with the Senate President, long enough to know that our fragile democracy rests on the strength of our laws, that our freedoms are given shape by our rules and traditions. And you all know me as a stickler for rules and traditions, together with my minority leader. I have served in both houses, House of Representatives and the Senate, and here in the Senate, being formerly a majority leader, the Senate President, and now your Deputy Minority Leader. In all these roles, Mr. President, I've been conscientious in adhering to the rules and traditions that protect the integrity of our beloved institution. It is in this spirit that I adhere to the court's decision. My vote today is based on the Supreme Court's decision last July 25, 2025, without prejudice to whatever resolution it may later render on the motion for consideration. That's why I thank the good movement, Mr. President, to allow me to amend or to allow the amendment of his motion to make it a mere archiving of the document, because that will never stop us